If you feel really demotivated and you don't know how to start studying, then this video is for you. Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So as we know, it is exam season for most of us, and I thought I would give you guys 10 study tips that helped me go from being an average student to a top scoring student. My first tip for you is to get into the right mindset. For that, you need to find your driving force, and that takes two things. That is, why do you want to score well? And secondly, what motivates you to score well? So, first, why you want to score well. I remember going to my parent teacher meet when I was in school, and I remember the teacher telling my parents that I know she can do better, I know she hasn't given her best. And I felt really bad at that point. I wanted to prove myself, I wanted to show that I can do better, and I wanted to make my parents proud. So that is what was the reason why I wanted to score well. Similarly, you guys have to find your reason that makes you want to study, such as you want to make your parents proud, or you want to do well in your future, you want to get a good job, you want to get the stream that you want after 10th maybe, and you want to prove yourself or feel confident. So whatever your reason is, you need to have a strong reason that serves as your driving force. The second thing you need to do is find out what motivates you to study. So for me, it was motivational quotes. I used to put it on my phone, on my laptop, so that I can see it every day. Similarly, you need to find out what motivates you. It could be YouTube videos as well, like study vlogs, productivity vlogs, and motivational quotes. So you need to use that to constantly fuel your desire to study. When you have both of these things, you will be able to get into the right mindset to study. My second tip for you is to make timetables. Now, making timetables is really helpful because first, it can help you feel organized and structured in your studies, and second, it also helps you get the job done quicker, and you feel like you can accomplish more things when you're organized and you have a timetable. So when it comes to making timetables, what I suggest is find all your subjects, divide all of the chapters that you have, and when you're going to complete these chapters. Like for me, what I used to do is when I make a timetable, I would decide which subjects I'm going to do on a daily basis and which subjects I'm going to do alternatively. For example, I used to allocate 1 hour of time every day to do maths, and if it was social or science, I would pick alternate days to do those subjects. So that way I had a good system going. And the other thing I wanted to say is you can make your timetables time specific or task specific. So by time specific, I mean that you can allocate time such as from 6:30 to 7:30 I'm going to do maths, from 7:30 to 9:30 I'm going to do social or science, something like that. That is really helpful if you're someone who sticks to your time schedules. But for me, I found that difficult because I felt like when I'm not able to stick to the time, suppose I said 6:30 I'm going to study and it's 6:45 and I didn't get to studying yet, I would feel really demotivated, like, oh my god, I'm running out of time, I have so much to do, and it just put me in a really bad mind space. So instead, you can do task specific timetables. Like for example, you can say today I am going to finish these questions in maths, I'm going to finish this part or this topic in this subject, or I'm going to do one chapter today for sure. So that way, instead of giving a time to it, you're saying that in a day I am going to complete this no matter how much time it takes. That helped me feel more productive as well. So whichever one works for you, whether allocating time or instead allocating tasks that you're going to complete in a day, either one of those can work for you. You can also decide whether you want a weekly timetable, daily timetable, or a monthly timetable. All of these are really useful. Like weekly and monthly timetables help you have an overview of how much you're approximately going to complete, and it helps you feel put together. You can also go for daily timetables. Honestly, I prefer daily and weekly timetables because if you do not complete something, you can still adjust it and make adjustments in the next day or the next week to complete that topic. My third tip for you is to make your study space motivating. So, first, your study space has to be somewhere you're comfortable, but not too comfortable that you want to sleep. You need to feel like you want to study in that space. And the second thing is that it needs to be motivating in the sense that you can put up motivational quotes or something, pictures that you look at. It could be your dream in the future, it could be your dream college you want to go to, or the dream course you want to take, something that makes you look at it and want to keep studying. Another thing that I used to do was I used to stick my timetable up, or I used to put up sticky notes of what my to-do list is so that I can look at it every day, and when I sit to study I can also look at it and get motivated. Another thing is that your study space should be free of distractions. So there should be no distractions, whether it is the TV at home or whether there's family around, or even if it's your own phone. Everything needs to be free of distractions when you're sitting in your study space to study. My fourth tip for you is to divide your study time. Now, I feel a very key aspect of studying is actually revising and remembering your topics. This is something I struggled with a lot because I hate revising. I would love to study a new topic and memorize it, but then the next day when I have to revise it, I just used to dread doing it because I felt like I don't know if I remember it, I don't want to revise it, I'd rather study something new. So I decided that including it in my study time was very important, because if I kept procrastinating and if I did not revise, in the long run I would completely forget what I studied, and I would find it even more difficult to revise and even memorize those topics again. So in my study time, I divided it into like half an hour for revising my previous topics, and then the remaining 1 hour, 1.5 hour, how much ever you're studying, to learn the new topics. It is very important that you revisit your old topics and you revise them on a regular basis so that you don't forget it in the long run. So including that in your study time is a very big tip that helped me, and I'm sure it can help you too. My next tip for you is to make your study time into a habit. So just like it is a habit for you to get up every morning, go brush your teeth, and maybe get ready for school or college, similarly, studying for you needs to be a habit. It is something you don't think twice about doing because it is a part of your daily routine, that is something you can't go without doing. So in order to make it a habit, the first thing you have to do is start doing it every day. Like block out certain time in your daily routine that this is the time that I'm not going to substitute with any other activity. No matter what changes come, this block of time remains allocated to studying and it is not going to change. When you keep doing it every day, and it takes a lot of discipline, let me tell you, but with that discipline, when you do it every day, slowly you get used to it. It becomes a habit and it seems less like a burden but a part of life. Another thing you can do to help you get started on making it a habit is maybe to reward yourself. Like after blocking out your time and studying for a certain amount of time, reward yourself with maybe watching your favorite show or doing something you like. So that way it'll help you ease into making it a habit and making it a part of your life. My next tip for you is to take notes. Now, taking notes is very important because it helps you summarize everything that you've learned from a topic, and it is easy for you when you want to go back to it and revise it. So taking notes varies from person to person, but the main thing about taking notes is that it should be clean, understandable to you, and organized so that you are not lost when you're trying to find something in your notes. So for me, I know friends who took notes in a way that it was just bullet points or just keywords, and it was enough for them to understand the topic and make their own sentences. For me, I was a person who took down full notes with full sentences in a very organized manner, and I liked writing down everything so that when I'm revising it, I can say it out aloud and see if I've missed anything. I also liked using highlighters, color pens, anything that made it visually appealing. So this is completely on you, whether you're someone who takes short, concise notes or long notes. You need to do it in a way that is beneficial to you, and it will help you whenever you're revising or revisiting a topic. My next tip for you is to find the memorizing technique that works for you. Now, when it comes to memorizing, there's a lot of techniques out there, like there's the Feynman technique where you explain a topic as if you're teaching it to someone, and there's also like writing it down and then memorizing it. So, whatever memorizing technique works for you, you need to experiment and find that out for yourself. Like, I have done both. I have understood a topic and explained it out loud as if I'm teaching someone. That helped me in certain topics, and for some, one thing I constantly did while memorizing was I would first memorize it and write it down to make sure I remembered it. So that was the technique that I followed. You need to find out what suits you best and what helps you remember your topics in the long run. My next tip for you is to actively listen in class. I know I'm going to sound like your teacher or your mom telling you this, but I feel like it really helps when you pay attention in class, or even if not in class, suppose you're watching a video, pay attention and first listen to the topic and then study it yourself. I honestly feel like I have better understanding when, instead of trying to learn it myself or memorize it myself, I first listen to someone experienced explaining it to me. So in class, when the teacher was explaining and I paid attention, I remember when I went back home and went through it, it felt like revising a bit, and it felt like I know more information than I would have if I started just randomly. So one thing I would always tell you guys is to pay attention, and if it is too late to pay attention in class, that's not a problem. Whether you're watching YouTube videos or you're learning from somewhere online, you can pay attention and try and gather information from that first and then learn it on your own. My next tip for you is to spend more time on weaker subjects and also to solve past papers and problems. It is very important to use your time wisely, especially when you have little time left for your exams. So you need to identify which subject am I confident in that I can manage with little revision or little studying, and which subject I'm weak at, like I may be weak at maths or some topic like trigonometry, and I need to spend more time in it. Because let me tell you guys, your overall percentage can be pulled down just by one subject. So it is very important that you work on the subject that you're weak in so that you can improve your performance by the time the exams come. Another thing you must do is solve past papers and problems, because practice makes perfect. Do as many questions, problems, and past papers as you can before your exam. That will not only help you feel confident when you're attempting your exam, but it will also help you get familiar with the exam pattern, the way the questions appear, what kind of questions came in the past, and how you have to manage your time during the exam, and what strategy you're going to use to attempt your questions. All of this just helps in your preparation, and the more prepared you are, the better chance you have at giving a good exam and writing it well and getting good marks. My last tip for you is to prioritize your health, and this is the most important tip for me, because let me tell you my experience during my 12th exams. 12th boards, they had divided our exams into two parts. The first was MCQs and the second was theory exams for CBSE board, and this was due to COVID. So for those of you who remember and who went through it, I went through that, and we had our maths exam, and it was the MCQs part. I was very nervous, very anxious. I don't know, when I got my question paper, I just started looking at all of the questions, the MCQs, and all of that added pressure. The pressure of doing well was so much for me that I felt like I had a panic attack. I could not breathe. I could not focus on the questions. I started jumping between questions, just trying to solve something. And after the exam, I went back home and I cross-checked, and I realized questions that did not make sense to me in the exam because of me panicking, I actually knew the answer and I knew how to do them. And it was honestly a very, very bad experience for me. This made me realize how important it is to give your exam with a cool mind and a cool head, because it is very important to stay calm and not panic. The minute you start panicking and feel anxious, you will not be able to give your exam well, and you won't be able to focus on your exam. So prioritizing your health is very crucial. You need to eat healthy, eat on time, also get enough sleep. Always prioritize your food and your sleep. Also, do not take undue stress. Do not think that this is the end of the world. You need to prioritize the mindset that you have done your best, irrespective of the result, irrespective of the outcome. You know you have done your best, and you should just be proud of yourself. Exams will come and go, but you growing, that will never change. So that's all I have to say, guys. I hope these tips helped you, and if they did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the best to all of you giving your exams out there, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. Bye.